Well, hello and welcome to episode number 34 of the Crystal Clarity Podcast. That's it. I'm done. That's the introduction. So today I want to share with you something I've been really excited to share with you. I've been really excited for today's episode. It's all about personal power and our ability to claim our lives, set boundaries, and form a self and be able to say yes, to be able to say no, to be able to choose our lives and create from the power within. And it's all about how we give our power away in so many ways, in so many forms, unconsciously. And it's all about those who take our power and have whole systems designed to take our power and to put themselves into our own energy grid, our own metaphysical bodies, and start feeding from and siphoning our power. And that is done consciously and unconsciously. And you will see that as healers, there are a lot of times that, I'm always speaking to healers and I'm always speaking to people that aren't healers too, because it's honestly the same. Because I know that those of you that aren't healers, you're healing your families, you're healing your friends. You're just, if you're even listening to this, your ears are peaked, you're helping people, you're compassionate. And then there's licensed professionals that are healing. And those that are doing the healing work, they are exactly like the people, the regular people. We are exactly like you all. We are going through the same exact things. We just have a thing in the world where we're professionally helping people, but we're all going through this and we all mirror each other. Healers often attract patients and clients who mirror what they're going through. And so when I talk about this with you, just take it to your family, take it to your kids, whether you're a healer or not. This is important. This is about personal power. You can help people with what I'm about to talk about. So, as healers or as people that are interested in stones, crystals, earth medicine, this is an important message, an important bulletin about personal power. Power is so critical right now. I cannot, what I've witnessed in the last just 5 years, I mean, this is ancient, that this spiritual warfare, this polarity that's going on, that's alchemizing us into this new age. It's ancient that this has been, every possible way that it can feed off power, that it can get into our energy grid and take our power. It is very sophisticated at that. And in the past 5 years, it is insane what I have witnessed. All of the subtle and gross, energetic and purely physical ways that these systems have tapped into the power of humanity, the power of individuals. I mean, every time we just type in agree on some form in one of these tech companies, how many things did we just consent to? It's just insidious, the ways that our power is wanting to be fed from, because we are incredibly powerful individuals. This is all about remembering that. This is the time when we remember that. And it's just, this is it. So this is such a huge topic. And there are, a few ways that we really need to listen up to this subject. It's sexual abuse, any kind of abuse, huge rearrangements in power take place. And this is when we need to have some of these tools. Trauma. Trauma can cause a fear and shock in the system that we give so much power away, or we give the power away to the thing that traumatized us, etc. There's so much change in our system around power when we go through trauma. Addiction. All forms of addiction are shifts in power. It's like, what is addiction besides to feel powerless, to have these voices in your head saying you can't do it, you can't change. That it's all about power and possession. And as an acupuncturist, I talk about possession, meaning when there are entities, programs, thought forms, sometimes actual ghosts, etc., in our field. And entities can just be pockets of energy too, but those are all feeding on our power. They're living in our energy field, feeding on our power, and there are major rearrangements of power when we have entities and other things in our field. Those are four major ways and times that we need to talk about how to restore power, how to look at power, what is personal power? I will hopefully remember to share with you what this, I'm going to write it down because I'll tell you, power is, I'll share with you my best definition of it coming up at the end. I have my little notes sitting up. All right, so I want to talk about when we're working with this and we want to help somebody through any of those journeys that we talked about. There's so much in there. I want to think about two really specific locations to keep this really simple, give you almost like a mini protocol to help someone become conscious of and reclaim personal power. One of them is the solar plexus, this chakra here, solar plexus chakra. And you've probably heard this. There are, so many traditions of esoteric healing, ancient healing, chakra modalities where we talk about that our power, our personal power, our I am presence, our sovereignty is in our third chakra. I think that it is a really important place, actually, yes, because it is a threshold between the lower chakras and then this threshold of moving our energy up into the heart, which is a big, huge shift. So that yellow chakra into the green chakra of the heart is like the yellow brick road to the Emerald Palace. It's a big shift in our consciousness. It's a big attainment. It's a big find. It's like the beginning, the middle, and the end of the journey in many ways. So the solar plexus is one big place that we want to look at with personal power. And another one is actually the tailbone. And the tailbone has this really interesting energy of the Tao, like the nature, God, coming into it. And it's almost like one of the ways the Tao flows into our body is through this kind of like seed energy right underneath the tailbone. And then it comes up into the tailbone. And then what does it do? It forms the entire spine. It forms the entire spine, the skeletal system, the nervous system, the structure of our bodies, the ways that we stand up, walk, and move forward in our lives. And that's independence and autonomy. So there's a lot about power in there too. It's kind of the seed of individuation, sovereignty, and power. So these two places are really important. Let's talk about the solar plexus first. I just want to name something here. I'm going to talk about stones too that we can use. Actually, you guys, before I go on, I want to let you know that we do 2 totally free master classes a year at the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine. One of them is next week. And I know that you may be watching this years in the future, but wherever you are in time, just go to upperclarity.com to see what classes are coming up next. But if you're watching this in time, today's September 4th, 2024. We have a big masterclass coming up next week. It's called Secrets of the Rainbow Crystalline Grid. And it's how these energetic metaphysical grids work within our body, how almost like the ley lines of our body work, and how we can tap into those certain ley lines to do certain kinds of repairs and healing. The Rainbow Crystalline Grid has a lot to do with power. So I wanted to use this episode almost as a runway into that. So to get the full picture of what I'm talking about, come to our free class next week. Go to upperclarity.com to register, or there will be a link below that you can sign up for Secrets of the Rainbow Crystalline Grid. It's going to be a really cool class. We have a lot to talk about. It's going to be better than Netflix. All right, so back to the solar plexus. When we're with the solar plexus, I want you to do something. So if you sit and do an exercise, you can even I'm sure you've done this before, so you can even just recall this, but if you sit and do an exercise where you close your eyes and feel what is in my field, what entities, attachments, pockets of energy, people, animals, pets, students, teachers, friends, what is in my field? And you look at your energy fields and you see what is in my field, and you attempt to clear your field so it can just be you. When you go in and do that, and you feel all the things that are floating in your field, you have attached those and pulled those in, but also those things have come into your field. It's kind of like a two-way game. When you find and notice those things in your field, I want you to try this. You have to see how are they, so you can feel them in your field kind of around, but you have to see, so how are they connected to me? And see if you can find some like ley line or cord or highway or way that they are connected to you, like connected to your body, connected to like your deeper self. And what you will find, I find this so often, is that the way they're actually connected to me is into my solar plexus. I'll feel them connected into my solar plexus. Wow, the solar plexus is actually the place where these beings, if you found a cord to them all, it's where they're connected in. It's so fascinating. Like, why are they connected into the solar plexus? So try that out the next time you're clearing your field. Sometimes we forget to see, well, how are they connected to me? And it's so often into the solar plexus. It's very interesting. And if you guys look at ancient healing, modern healing, so many times people are restoring power and cutting cords at the solar plexus. We talk about obsidian blades to obsidian knives, to like cut energetic cords. And you feel a lot of this come back to the solar plexus. Now, the solar plexus is the place where we psychologically identify I am. I am this. I am that. I am separate from this. I am separate from that. So that's identification. I am a Gemini. I am a Virgo. I am this attachment style. I am that. It's all the things that we call ourselves, all the things that we say that we are. That psychological identification is rooted in the solar plexus chakra. So many of the programs that we hold about who I am are living in the solar plexus, and for some reason these entities around us attach into that place. It is a place for them to say, if I'm going to get into their energy field, that is where I will tether in. So do that as an example, and as an experiment for yourself. And even in ancient Taoist texts, which we work with sorcery, we work with spiritual warfare, we work with like martial arts and energetic arts. And martial arts can just be moving energy. It's not like doing taekwondo. But stones are so important in these, in these realms where we're doing this kind of interface and polarity, And you will find that they call this chakra the yellow court. The yellow court, they call it. And it's not Hindu chakra. It's not the same system, but they still call this area the yellow court, and we work on it for power. And you will find us putting very powerful stones on this place in order to clear away or cut cords or get energy out that is attached to us. So it's an ancient technique to put powerful stones on this as a way of clearing energy, pulling those cords out, just placing the powerful stone and letting it transduce those cords. Like, we don't have to do cut every time. I just, so many times in my practice, will place a very powerful stone on the solar plexus to draw out all of those attachments, all of those ways things are rooted in. This is so important if you have an abusive person in your life, if you've gone through something that's been so confusing for you, like, am I crazy or are they crazy? Like, what is going on? Like, even if it's a program or a school or something where you're just like, this has become so confusing. Like, what is I and what is them? And, those kind of forms of like psychological abuse, all of those things. Like, when you have that going on, it's important for you as the healer or the person to just get all of those cords out of your solar plexus and get your energy field clear. And if you can get the cords out from where they are, right, there's tethers and there's hooks. If you can get them out, you get this clear. And stones are so powerful. They are so important. They are so good at this. They provide the stability and the power to do this. You can't use a feather or a seashell or something. You can, but stones are amazing for this. This is what they're born for. So you'll see in old writings, like the use of jet at the solar plexus to clear out, to cut these cords, just even placing it on. Like I said, so many times in my practice, I just place that there as a big part of the treatment to start. It's almost step one in a protocol that I'll share the simple step two in a minute. But you can also do obsidian. It's such a powerful stone and understands power. And another stone that's just off the charts for power is azurite. I almost can't even explain it, but if you need power, like, especially if you need power fast or you need power, like you have something big going on, you need to integrate it quickly, like grabbing azurite is a powerful stone. It's almost like a blue dragon. Those are some powerful stones, but there are many more. So think of the ones that you would think of. Now, the solar plexus, you want to first move all, like clear all that, get that stuff out of the person's field just by working with the solar plexus. And I want to go on to the second one. So the second one is the tailbone. The tailbone is so interesting. Um, like I just said, it's all of this individuated autonomy, sovereign. Like I am a formed individual that can say yes, that can say no, that can set boundaries, that is clarity, right? That all comes up into the tailbone. Like I said, there's a seed of energy under the tailbone. It's coming from the Tao. You can channel it in from the Tao. You know, it's like the yang energy of nature, clarity, soaring like an eagle. And that comes up the tailbone. And so you want to work with the tailbone second, you could say, if you're making a protocol out of this, really simple, to then restore the person's power, to stand them up, to build them up. You've gotten the things out of their field. Now you want to say, okay, now fill up with you. You're an individuated, sovereign being, and straight in their tailbone. You know, give them that backbone energetically, and putting stones there that can channel that Tao energy in and stand them up and form them like that, to walk forward with strength, power, clarity, boundaries. That can all happen at the tailbone. And some powerful stones there are ruby, aragonite, even kyanite is a powerful stone there that we don't think about. But also the other ones that I mentioned for the solar plexus can all be used at the tailbone. You can place a stone there to start to fill them up into their individuation, into their autonomy. You know, there's a moment when we just think we are our mother. We're just a part of her. And then we have this realization that we're our own individual, unique being. And that moment of realization, of individuation, is seated at that seed in your tailbone. And whatever programs were going on around you at that time, is it safe to form? Is it safe to be an individual? You know, what are the messages in my environment, even if you're an infant, even if you're still in the womb? What are the messages in my environment about survival, about power, about intimacy, about forming a strong sense of self, you know, a clear, individuated person that can speak clearly and have boundaries and power and keep people out of their field and doesn't have to bend and sway and become everything else. That's the do my. That's that tailbone energy. So you want to fill that up. You want to summon energy in there, and you can make it like a ritual where you're summoning the person back to themselves. Through that, you can flip them over and summon that energy back in there. And interestingly, Jan Schulten, who wrote Minerals in Homeopathy, you know, everything is a hologram of everything else. So they looked at the periodic table of the elements, and they said the periodic table of the elements is actually a hologram for the birth process, for being born. And to make a long story short, when you get to number 6, carbon, on the periodic table of the elements, that's the moment you realize you are not your mother and you are an individuated being. That is the hologram, carbon. The moment you realize you're an individuated being, according to Jan Schulten and his research on homeopathy and minerals. And I've been studying that for years and thinking about it, and it's just interesting to think about carbon. Jet at the solar plexus is carbon. Diamond, the strongest stone we have that is amazing with the tailbone, is carbon. So it is interesting, like if someone needs to form back a sense of self after loss of power, think of carbon, think of the tailbone. Oh, an honorable mention to lepidolite, which is something that actually can raise that yang qi as well and work at the tailbone to raise and ascend the qi into individuation. Now, imagine that's our little protocol. Like someone comes in with sexual abuse, someone comes in with trauma, someone comes in with, maybe they were in a really horrible relationship pattern and they're like, oh my God, it's time to clear my field and get my power back. Think of working with the solar plexus and the tailbone. And just something amazing is, this is a little bit of shop talk about meridians and acupuncture, but it's easy to understand. And I think it's one like new piece of learning for you that you can get in this episode. It's so interesting that Ren 15, which is right here on the body, Ren 15. I'm just pointing kind of like it's right on my midline on the front if you're listening, and it's right kind of like under the breasts, but on the midline, um, under the nipples, but on the midline of the body. It's right around the solar plexus. It's kind of like forms the solar plexus chakra. This is called dovetail. This point is called dovetail. And it's kind of like the energetic point of the solar plexus chakra. It's such a powerful point. It's the first point we use when we are clearing possession and clearing attachments out of somebody's field. And the first point you use in any treatment is always the whole treatment in itself. First point is always should be like a hologram of everything. And it has dovetail. It's almost like this dove is like, you can imagine, I mean, one of the ways that you look at this point is this dove is like flying off, and that's like a scattering this energy out of the body. The dovetail, you see like the dovetail flying away, and that's us scattering the energy. But it's also the solar plexus chakra, you guys, and it's also what is called the low point on this Ren channel. Stay with me. The Ren channel comes down the front of the body, and it's how we are dependent. It's how we love. It's how we bond. It's how we connect. When a mother has a baby, she puts the baby right up against that Ren channel. It's the first thing she does, And this is where we bond and we connect. This whole channel is about bonding, connection, how we are mammals, we are tribal. We need connection, we need love, we need bonding. The low point on this channel means that this is the wormhole on this channel. It's a wormhole point. And it wormholes. Guess where it wormholes to? This is crazy. It wormholes to the low point, the other connecting point, the other wormhole point on the dew meridian. The dew meridian is the freaking tailbone. It's the one that goes straight up our back. And it is about how we are individuals, how we are sovereign, how we can survive on our own, how we can walk forward, make our own choices, have boundaries, say yes, say no, be clear individuals, how we can, live as autonomous, sovereign beings. And that is wild, that this place of power, the solar plexus, and this huge place of power, the tailbone, are connected through this wormhole of the Ren and dew meridians, which signify healthy dependence and healthy independence. So these two places of power are these openings on both channels that show that these channels communicate and that they are two sides of the same coin. You can't have this healthy independence without this healthy dependence. We need both. And the communication between those two happens at the solar plexus and the tailbone. So we actually allow those two to communicate and to negotiate these huge, huge understandings within us of how do we love and bond and connect, but also be individuated beings. And the negotiation that we can't ever make it to sacred union or, like full merged love without first being an autonomous, boundaried individual. It's almost paradoxical, and we can't ever really make it to full individuation, like true stepping out in safety and belief in ourselves and faith, without in some way also knowing what it's like to have safety and bonding and connection. So this is the wormhole. This is incredibly important places of power and resurrection of power and reclaiming ourselves after, which is just inevitable in our lives. These things are all teachers. Every time we lose our power or give it away, these traumas are always an upgrade to a better place. It's a time that we can, reclaim ourselves and step deeper into our sovereignty. I can't believe how important this is for this time that we're in. So thanks for listening to that whole thing. This is really important for you. It's so basic. What we talk about in this whole podcast is amazing because it's like, it's so beginners, and it reminds us of just like, whoa, this is the grounded beginner way to really work with people in the body and work with crystals and stones. And at the same time, it's so advanced, it's so ancient. It's like all of these things that are alive, but we've almost never spoken and have words for. And I think that's just the consciousness of the stone medicine that's kind of coming and arriving right now. So I did tell you that I would tell you what really power is. And power is, you guys, it is you finding more of you. And when you find more of you, when you welcome more of you, when you fall into and surrender to more of you, I'm talking about you becoming yourself. I'm talking about you like letting go of all the comparison and just like weed through all that and be like, I want to become me. It's authenticity. It's like, I'm just going to be me, no matter what the consequences are. It's just time to be me. It's time to find my own uniqueness. It's time to just be my own uniqueness, no matter what the outer world may say, and it's like a lot of times you'll find that by going back to who you were as a kid. This is like kids just know, they know what their thing is. They know what they like and what they're into. A lot of times you can find just what is like authentically you by remembering who you were as a kid. But when we are more of us, when we are authentically us, when we're like, okay, I'm going for it, I'm just surrendering, I'm just actually going to be me, even if it's weird, even if people don't like it, even if I don't get invited back to this thing, I'm going to be me. I'm going to tell you something. When you do that, it is literally the key to power. You will have so much power that when you walk in a room, you create these ripples in the room. All you have to do is walk into the space and you create change. You create so much change in the world when you're being authentically you. It is literally the key to power. And power is this potency that we have, just, speaking, talking, being with people, healing, just touching someone. There's so much more power and potency in it. You are changing the world when you're walking in the world as you, as who you truly, really are. That's you changing the world. That's why kids are so powerful, because they're just being themselves and they walk into a room and the whole room changes. So that's what power is, and we can do this treatment and reclaim and come back to it. And then the stepping out is a stepping out into really authenticity. So go for it. I'm going for it in my life, just being more of me. So I'm with you in that. All right. That's it, guys. Love you so much. Thank you for listening to the whole thing. I will see you in the next episode. I hope that helps you in some way. Take care, and so many blessings on you and your return to feeling empowered in your life. Like you can make choices and that you're sovereign and you can do what you want. All right. Love you guys. See you soon.